going on, YouTube? I'm back with a new bike. Shout out Isaac, Silk Cloud, San Diego. Use code DustinJ, 20% off if you need to freshen up on some gear. So before we get into this, let's make ourselves a drink here. A little bit of Maker's Mark. Good stuff. So this is my new XC rig, if you want to call it that. So I sold the road bike, and I don't know, I'm kind of losing interest in road bikes personally. Get some whiskey stones here. This is that Mixology and Craft whiskey set. Freeze those babies up. Oh, probably only need one. Freeze them up. Boom. Got yourself some a whiskey cocktail. Boom. There you are. Get yourself a nice pour. Boom. That's how I do it. I like me some whiskey on the rocks. Yeah, let's get into this. Cheers. It's good stuff. So, sold the road bike. I've kind of just lost interest in drop bar bikes. No, I did not sell the Score. This is not replacing the Score. This is just something I've been entertaining for a while now, is what should my second bike be? Because I kind of fall into that trap of all the bikes kind of are so close together that it's hard to justify two separate bikes for me personally, because I kind of just end up right in that mid-travel in the 130, 140 range. Because I don't really notice a big difference in climbing between a 120 bike and a 140 bike. You know, if you get up to something with the 160 travel in the rear and maybe like a 110 or 120, a little more justifiable. But this is a bike that really sparked my interest. I rode hardtails for a long time. When I first started riding, I had a Cannondale F29 aluminum lefty. Rode the crap out of that thing, loved it, got my first full suspension, and haven't had a hardtail since. So what I wanted to do with this bike is kind of just make it my gravel / XC / light trail rig. And then when I want to really go smash, I'm grabbing the Score with the coil shock, carbon wheels, all the new RockShox stuff. That's the bike I'm going to go really smash on. But this thing is kind of like a foothills killer. So I haven't ridden it yet. So this could be an expensive, actually it wasn't that expensive, but an expensive test to see where I'm at with this thing. But so all the parts on this bike were parts I've been holding on to. Like every time I swap out a part on the Score, I kind of would set aside the extra parts. Pretty much everything's used. I got this fork cheap from a buddy, wheels cheap from a buddy. These are slightly used components here. New cranks, new dropper. But yeah, I kind of wanted to get something just drastically different than my Score. And I've heard really good things. And the biggest caveat for me when buying a second bike is price, because what I mean by that is I've got my Score over here. That's the bike I ride the most. You know, it's in the $6,000 to $8,000 range. It's probably around $8,000 with the wheels on it right now. But I didn't want to invest a lot of money into a second bike because I wasn't sure how much I'd ride it, especially during summer lift season. I'm always grabbing the full squish bike. But I also wanted something that I liked and was interested in that didn't cost a lot of money. And I just happened to be online shopping, which I do a lot of, and I came across this arc frame. So a closeout from the last year, but from what I can tell, they didn't really change anything. I think the only thing they changed were colors. And I saw this on, it was Pro Bike Supply. So if you guys haven't been paying attention, the bike industry is like tanking right now, and it's going to be a good time to buy bikes here in the next month. And I saw this thing 25% off. It was normally $2,100. I got it for $16. no shipping, no tax, and I jumped on it. I was kind of looking around at maybe what my second bike could be, maybe a transition spur. Those frames are 3,500. Specialized Epic Evo I was looking at. I wanted something that I could throw a 130 pike on. I snagged this from a buddy for 250 bucks because it's the last gen one. He hooked me up on a fat deal. But yeah, I wanted to keep this thing. I didn't want to spend a ton of money. And I think all said and done, I think I'm $3,000 into it, and I sold my road bike for about $3,000, so I really was like a wash. And this is something I'm gonna get a lot more use out of. Road bike is cool for winter training and stuff, but this thing I could go pedal on the greenbelt if I wanted to, being a hardtail, and I could probably it'll get the job done, and then I can go hit some trail. And that's kind of was the deciding factor. It was kind of like, I don't need 2 full squish bikes. And I'm really excited about this bike, and just to see what it's really capable of. I'm really curious to see it. You're going to probably have to ride it a little bit differently, and we'll get into that in future videos, but compared to a full suspension, I mean, it's been so long, you know. But I'm going to get into the parts and explain why I think this is going to work really well. So let's go ahead and get into that here real quick. So, medium frame, start with Cockpit. I'm gonna start, so like I said, these are all used parts. It's a 50 mil Yeti stem. Shout out to Gary. I'm gonna try that, and then maybe go to a 40 or a 35 if I feel like that's too long, but this is a cross-country bike. 50 might be okay. Yeti Skywire carbon bars. Went with the silver theme to match the pike. I got the shout out to Reed Cycles. Taylor hooked me up with this Hellbender 70 headset, and this thing is just butter. Says it's the best one on the market. I believe him. Also grips, ODI Elite Pros. I run those on both bikes. And bars are cut to 770, same as my Enduro bike. Wolf tooth dropper lever. That's the light action, so it's a longer one. I actually really like the feel of that. I might switch the score over to the light action lever as well. No electronics on this bike. It's a mountain bike. It's a hardtail. It's supposed to be simple. I don't want to have to worry about batteries. Cables work just fine for me. The cable routing on this bike was superior. I really like what they're doing here with these. I'm not sure what these are called, but it secures that cable right here so that you can't move it in and out. No noise on this thing. Tube and tube comes right out the bottom and then back into the frame right here. Piece of cake. Same with the brake. Routing the cables was a breeze. I really like the quality of this frame. This is my first Yeti, and the quality of this frame is just superior. Wish I had frame storage, but we'll get into that. Brakes, I'm running the SLX 4-piston brakes. Down here, these are the new 6-bolt XTR freezer rotors. I run the center lock freezers on the Score. Did 180 front and rear, but these SLX brakes I think are the best. I found these used, slightly used, and they don't have that free stroke adjust, in which I hear that might alleviate some of that wandering bite point. I got these things feeling super snappy, super good. I'm using these pretty rad Jaguar. These are hard to find. I'll show you guys these right here. Wire hooks right there. Worldwide Cyclery has these, like, I don't know, 10 bucks or something. 4-pack. Love those things. Just keeps everything nice and tidy up there. Like I said, the pike running 130, 42 mil offset on that guy, set to 130. I've got it pretty much wide open, no damping, and 75 PSI. We'll get down here to the wheels. So Gary, shout out to Gary, the legend Gary. Gary hooked me up. These came off his Specialized stump jumper. They're the aluminum Revol Traverse, 30 mil internal, 28 spoke, DT Swiss 350 hubs, 350 internals, front and rear. I am running Cushcore in the rear only right now. Cushcore XC, but I got the valves in there. Assegai 2.5 Max Terra up front. Recon 2.6 in the back, Max Terra. Normally, this is my biggest pet peeve in the world, is running a fatter tire on the rear than the front. This isn't a motorcycle, it's a mountain bike. But this 2.6 Recon actually measures the exact same width as this 2.5 Assegai. So Taylor Reeds, he hooked me up on this combo. This is what he's running on his ARC. And he said, yeah, no worries. They're going to blow up the exact same width. They're right at a 2.5 front and rear, even though this says 2.6. But Cushcore in the back, I think, is going to help. There's no suspension back here. The carbon frame is going to really help take some of that harshness out. But two, I think the big volume tire and that XC Cushcore is really going to soften that back end up. That's kind of my biggest worry with a hardtail, is the way I like to ride. I didn't want to set this thing up like an XC bike. I'm not into XC bikes anymore. I don't know many people who are. I love to climb as much as the next person, but I climb because I want to go downhill, and I want to go downhill fast and fun. So I think this thing's going to be a riot. I think it's going to climb like a beast, and I think it's going to be pretty killer and fun on the way down, especially on the little bit more mellow trails. Might bring them to life a little bit more than riding my 33-pound score with the coil shock around kind of the mellower trails. Liven things up with this guy. Also 200 mil dropper, 210 mil dropper. This is the 1-up. Plenty of room. This is the exact height that I normally run. Ergon saddle. This is a road saddle with carbon rails. I've had that on a few of my bikes now, and I put the tie rail back on the score. This bike, the one thing I did have to buy new as well, Reeds had this take offline around as well. This is the new dub wide cranks. So in order to get the tire clearance that they needed, I'm assuming they had to go with a longer spindle. So it's not quite as wide as Super Boost, but it is longer than a standard boost crank. So you cannot use a standard boost crank on this bike. Which I'm glad he pointed that out, because I almost put one on. I had a GX crankset lying around that I was going to put on this, and told me don't do that because it's not going to fit. And you also, with these things, spacer-wise, if you're building one up, 3 mil spacer non-drive, a 5 mil spacer on this drive side, which is new to me. I didn't know they made a 5, so they probably just started making them for these cranks. So yeah, that 5 mil spacer, hard to find. Taylor, once again, hooking it up. Drivetrain, I went XO1 shifter, and then GX everything else. GX aluminum cranks, Shimano XT race pedals. I tend to prefer the XTs over the XTR. I feel like the bearings and seals are a little bit better on those. I had a little bit less trouble with the leaky seal on the XT than the XTRs. 10 to 52 GX, GX derailleur. God, yeah, hardtails are simple. That's about it. 34 tooth chain ring, XO1 chain, and Lezyne bottle cage. Also, since there's no frame storage on this guy, this is the new 1-up pump. I guess it's not new. It's new to me. Right here. So no, I'm done with kind of CO2 stuff. But the thing that's rad about this is, since if you don't have frame storage, boom, there's your multi, you got your tire lever, chain tool right here. Also got a stash box in here, pretty killer. Probably gonna throw some bacon strips and whatnot in this guy. And then you got another one right in here, multiple stash boxes. Doesn't weigh a ton. I haven't weighed a bike part in 6 months, so I really don't care what it weighs. It's going to be a heavy XC bike because I'm going to ride it not like an XC bike. So I bought 2 of these holders, so I'm going to throw another holder on the score, so that way I can just take the pump from bike to bike, and boom, I got my frame storage and my pump. Everything you need right here in one unit. So that thing's super rad. I'm pumped on that. Boom. Strap this guy. So 1-up EDC pump, saving me out on the trail there. That thing's gonna be super rad. I am gonna put a 1-up chain guide on here. It just hasn't gotten here yet. That's the one thing that I haven't done that I want to do to this thing. And other than that, I'm gonna mess around with stem length, but it feels pretty good. I rode it around the parking lot, and this thing just feels like a rocket ship. And as a lot of my friends know, I love to climb, but I'm not an XC guy anymore. But it is good to have that XC background because I do like to climb. But I don't like to climb if there's no fun at the end. So I think this thing's gonna be super rad. Stay tuned, stay with me, and we will head out on our first ride here soon. The trails, there's a couple trails that are drying up here and there. A couple other things real quick I just kind of wanted to touch on. I really like these Pro shift cable kits from Jaguar. The Pro series, they're just buttery smooth, shifting superior. That's one thing too. These X01 shifters make the whole SRAM drivetrain feel like an XX1 or an X01. All you need to do to make your shifting feel better is if you have a GX shifter, I think they're junk. Everything else GX, I love. I think I can't tell a difference in the cassette. Maybe longevity, the X01s last a little bit longer, but I was trying to keep this thing under $3,000, and that's what we got. But this was key, this X01 shifter. That thing is just so crisp, so buttery, mixed with this Jaguar kit. Can't beat it. I'm gonna get a little Tubolito Occam boa strap right here, Yeti'd out. You know, if you got a Yeti, man, it's got to be turquoise. Thing's so badass. So threw a little extra turquoise in there. But yeah, that's the bike, that's the rig, that's the XC trail rig. I'm loving it. I'm super pumped, and I can't wait to get out and ride this thing. This was a long one, so I appreciate you guys sticking around and hanging out with me. This is the last garage talk that's going to be in this garage. Sold my house, got a new spot with a heated garage. It's going to look way better than this. So I'm excited for that. Up my lighting game a little bit. Shout out to Aperture, killing the lighting game. But yeah, that's all I've got for you. Until next time, we're going to get out and go ride this thing. So thank you guys as always, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.